breaking news as a major crisis at our southern border is unfolding, and yet you have probably heard next to nothing about it. A massive surge of illegal immigrants is underway right now, and we do mean massive. This is unprecedented. Leaked pictures show hundreds upon hundreds of children packed like sardines into detention centers. Most of them here illegally without their parents, and the Border Patrol totally overwhelmed and unable to care for them. Children sleeping on plastic tarps, lacking basic necessities. In one facility in Phoenix, they reportedly have 4 showers for nearly 300 children. After a couple of media outlets started to focus on this, the White House today held a background conference call on its response, but this crisis has been building for months. Now the feds have decided to take some of these children from the overcrowded detention centers, put them on buses, and simply drop them off on street corners in cities like Phoenix, where we got this video just last week. But the big warning tonight, we are told this problem could go from very bad to much, much worse in coming weeks. We have got Judge Napolitano on the legal issues, and filmmaker Dennis Michael Lynch has been warning about this for weeks now. He has eyewitness accounts from the border. Trace Gallagher starts us off live from our West Coast newsroom with what is driving this surge. Trace?
And Megyn, we have heard for months that people are fleeing Central America to escape the growing gang violence. But the Guatemala ambassador to the U.S. says that's not true. He says they're coming to America for 2 reasons. 1, to meet up with family already here, and 2, because smugglers guarantee to get them into the U.S. In fact, many illegal immigrants who arrive here believe the U.S. has a catch and release policy. If they cross the border, they can stay. And look at the increase. 6,500 unaccompanied kids crossed the border back in 2011. This year, it's estimated to be 90,000. Next year, 147,000. Military bases in Texas, California, and Oklahoma are now being used to house them. And look at the pictures leaked by Border Patrol agents showing children crowded into chain-link holding centers. Food, beds, and showers in very short supply. Listen to a volunteer.
Just imagining being in their shoes, it's really sad. They have terrified faces. They don't really want to speak because they're scared.
Then there's the 1,000-mile-plus journey to get here, riding in the trunks of vehicles, the backs of trailers, or on La Bestia, the beast, a so-called death train where children often fall off or become victims of crime. Unlike Mexican citizens, illegal immigrants from Central America can't just be sent home. They're turned over to Health and Human Services, who release them to family or friends. They're supposed to go through immigration courts, but the vast majority never do. And each day, hundreds of illegal immigrants are dropped off at bus stations in Tucson and Phoenix. Arizona Governor Jan Brewer says, quoting here, "I'm disturbed and outraged that President Obama's administration continues to implement this dangerous and inhumane policy." President Obama has yet to respond to Governor Brewer, but the president has asked for an additional $1.4 billion to handle the wave of illegal immigrants. Critics say they want more security at the border, Megyn, but it's very difficult when Border Patrol agents spend most of their time processing undocumented children. Megyn.
This is unbelievable. Trace, thank you. For more now on this crisis at the border, Judge Andrew Napolitano is our Fox News senior judicial analyst. He's here with a look at the legal ramifications of this. And Dennis Michael Lynch is here. He's a documentary filmmaker who's heading down to this area tomorrow and has made 2 films about this issue. We begin with the judge. This is incredible and so undercovered. You saw the numbers. Last year we had 65. Why? Suddenly, why?
Well, I don't know why, but I know how. Remember when the president boasted he has a telephone and he has a pen and he knows how to use them? He could stop all of this with a telephone and a pen. Instead, he caused the president of the United States personally and directly caused this with a telephone and a pen.
How?
When he said to illegal immigrants, if you do the following things, and he ticked off 13 different things, I will not let the government deport you. He made up those 13 events that they could do to avoid deportation. When he sent that signal to presently residing in the United States of America illegal immigrants, he also sent a signal to people in South and Central America. Send your children here and they won't get deported. And then you'll have an excuse to come here to be with your children and you won't get deported. Megyn, the president has taken an oath to uphold the law.
This year they're projecting 90,000 is the projection by our government officials. They're saying it could be as high as 150,000 children who are going to come across that southern border this year alone, putting them on buses and sending them to Phoenix, and then saying, just get off at the Greyhound, and hopefully you'll report back in 2 weeks with ICE.
Now, what the judge said is correct. The fact that these people are coming over saying, hey, America wants us. We're allowed to stay, and there's programs that are going to allow us to stay. The other thing that's happening as well is when they're crossing over the border, they all have the same narrative, and that is the drug cartels were going to kill me.
Well, that's what the administration is saying. They're saying that they're fleeing terrible and unprecedented crimes.
Right, as if drug cartels have just sprung up out of nowhere. Please, it's not the case. I've been saying it for years, not just on your show. This is the #1 issue facing our country, because in 3 or 4 months from now, these kids are all going to be going to school. And it costs 50% more to educate these children than it does mine or yours.
Already, the administration is asking for upward of $2 billion, $2 million just in legal fees, right? But $2 billion total to handle this situation. And the question is, Judge, now does this come back politically in a year where the president in late May just deferred more executive action, delaying deportations because he was under political pressure not to do it from Republicans, and they're trying to get illegal or immigration reform through? This won't help the case.
No, not at all. This may energize the president's base for the November elections, but this will totally alienate independents and middle Americans who will have to pay for this. And I'm glad you mentioned legal fees. The government provides food, shelter, clothing, health care, education, and free lawyers to these kids. This is the same government that dumps them on a street corner. If any of us dump children on a street corner, we would be arrested for child abuse. The
Judge,
federal government is doing it today.
You raise that point. I see these pictures of these children, and you cannot help but think of the Superdome after Katrina and how people were living in their own filth. And there are real risks politically, obviously, to the administration here, but there are health risks right now that we don't seem adequately equipped to handle.
Let me go back to what I had said. These kids are going to start going to school. When they come over the border and they're in these detention centers and then put on the bus, nobody's checking them for diseases. These people are coming.
They say they are checking. They're trying to get vaccinations up to date with these children. It's one of the reasons why it's such slow going, and FEMA's in charge.
Oh, Megyn.
That's what they say.
Megyn, I'm going down there tomorrow, and I'll confirm what I'm about to tell you right now. The Border Patrol agents, the ones who I speak to, are just, they don't know what to do anymore because they want to protect America. At the same point as they see these kids laying on the ground, they are at a loss for words. Here's the thing you're not thinking of. We're talking about the pictures that you see. The Border Patrol only catches about 1/3 of people who come across. The other 2/3 are just getting through. Don't you understand? What you're seeing is not really what's happening. It's just only the pimple. I promise you this. This is going to transform this country. He doesn't need a pen, and he doesn't need a phone. All he needs is a blind eye. And that's exactly what's taking place right now.
We're going to follow